What active roles should government be actively involved in? What should their role be?
Well, big question. I'm going to start to answer it based on sort of the institutions of government before getting to, governance, if you like, governance. The institutions that we have were built for a different time. They were built for a different phase, literally phase change, the post-World War II pact, if you like, the consensus. And those institutions have become pretty sclerotic, and they're not working for people. I don't think there's anything controversial to say.
Well, I think they've been corrupted. I think they've been corrupted.
Recently, much more so, right? But I don't think they were corrupted in the 80s.
No.
But, and of course, that's a whole bunch of massive generalizations.
Yeah.
But and so I think that you've got that layer of what are these what does it mean to build an institution for the 21st century? It has to be more agile. I've seen people say, well, let's just make it so that it's like agile software development. Well, some of that is meaningful. A lot of it's not. We need a lot of imagination. And if you think about, this is something that that Jeff spoke about, Sir Jeff spoke about at our summit last year, and it really stuck with me, that, and he did this little exercise, and it's really interesting. If you ask people to imagine different institutions, and in the same way as you would ask someone to say, let's imagine a new product. We're trying to do a new cookie to market, or we're trying to do a new service. We're going to do a new software service. Within 10 minutes, you could instantly get those people go bang, 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 bang. It needs to be these things, right? Our muscle memory for product and service innovation is pretty good. Like we're practiced. If you ask them to imagine a new institution for the public benefit or a public service or a civic good, they get nowhere, like nowhere. We literally do not value innovating in our institutions. All we do is value layering more and more bureaucracy on top of things. And every now and again, we have a bit of a clean out, but those clean outs tend to be more destructive than they are constructive. This is a challenge. And I think this idea that's so important for democracy is we actually need to start with what does an institution for the 21st century look like? Because that means it's an AI-driven institution. It's an AI-enabled, it's an AI whatever. It's an AI augmented. It's not about replacing people. It's all the same things we've been talking about. Governance, trickier, right? This is not my area of expertise at all, so I'm not going to say much on it. But governance, people design governance to do specific things, and they spend an enormous amount of time thinking about, well, if this happened and then that happened and then what happened and how are we going to represent the people and da-da-da-da-da. And so Jeff pointed out when I did this Instagram Live with him that, the actual governance structures are hundreds of years old. And the US is coming up on 250, and it relied on someone having to get on a horse and travel to represent. And we haven't stepped back and reimagined the governance either. And I think that is the real challenge. That's the really hard one, because I don't want to send my AI to vote for me. But what if I had like 1,000 AIs that were voting on all sorts of things for me instead of one general election every 4 years?
That's what I was talking about on Facebook, is actually why I agree with you. Technology is here. Why aren't we voting real time? Why? A lot of people would object to this. I believe that the masses, if you inform them and you don't serve them slop and you don't manipulate them and you don't, expose them to propaganda, I think that as stupid as the higher ups might think the masses are, I think there's plenty of proof that the masses will make the right decision when given the right information. So once again, I think it's a question of how we use the technology, whether it's
wisdom of the crowds. Yeah, it always is. I totally, I think this is going to be one of the most important discussions for the next decade.
Yeah. Helen, I have to unfortunately look at the time. I know that you've got to move on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm thrilled that I have you on my podcast. Tell Dave I'm looking out for him, and maybe we can find an opportunity.
I will definitely get you guys in contact.
Yeah. And anytime you have anything, any new insights that you want to share, let me know. You're always welcome to come back. Okay.
Well, wonderful. And thanks for inviting me on. And people can find me on Instagram and on YouTube. We have a newsletter. There's all sorts of things. But if good first stop is where you found me on Instagram.
No, I'm an avid watcher, and I love to see your stuff. Thanks so much, Helen.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. And you have a good rest of your week.
Yeah, you too.